Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Midweek Minutes. This past Sunday, we had a message that was titled Legacy, and our main passage was 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 to 18. And in this passage, the Apostle Paul is essentially telling us to focus on the invisible, to see the invisible things that God has for us. You know, as human beings, we have the tendency to get focused and locked in on the things that we can see. And although these things are very real and challenges that are to be faced, the Apostle Paul describes them as momentary troubles that won't last very long. And that's very true, because in the scope of eternity, the troubles that we're facing in this life are just a blip on our life trajectory. Now, one of the things that we cannot see is the legacy that we're going to leave behind. And I'm not talking about a legacy of leaving money and resources and material things, or making a name of yourself even, but leaving a legacy of loving the Lord and being a witness throughout your lifetime. You know, my wife and I have a blueprint for our life, and our children are one of the 12 categories. And our job as parents is to lead our children to be responsible, excellent, marriageable individuals who love the Lord. And how do we do that? Well, we guide them through living a life that pleases God. And that means sometimes that we have to see past their faults. We have to see past the challenges of rearing children and be able to understand that the promises of God will come to fruition if we continue to be faithful. You know, my youngest daughter is turning 18 years old this year. My baby is going to be 18. No more kids. Now, parenting will never end. It's a lifelong journey. But they're all going to be in this next phase of life where they're going to be more independent. And we have to trust God by seeing the invisible things and by dealing with the challenges that we have to go through each day in order to allow them to blossom in who God has called them to be. And in all of our lives, we have opportunities to focus on what we can see or focus on the invisible things that we cannot see. And we see those through the eyes of faith. You know, we had a point on Sunday that said our problems are a pathway to purpose. Now, our purpose on this earth, first of all, is to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. But we all have individual things that God has set out for us to do. And they all depend on our individual wiring and purpose. And to give you a clue of some of the things that might be your purpose, what are you able to do well? What are you passionate about? And what are some pain points in your lives? These things point to what God has called you to do. Because you see, the trouble that you see as a problem, that is a purpose in the making. So I encourage you, remember that we're living to leave a legacy, a godly legacy, one that honors him, and one that will last beyond our short years on this earth. So don't be so caught up in the things you have to deal with in the here and now. Just remember all the promises and all the wonderful things we will get to experience in the by and by. Thank you for joining me for another edition of Midweek Minutes. I hope to see you again next week. Bye for now.